this is a what if video, and sorry, this is a new what if, and actually a what if I'm only gonna make about, let's say, 10 parts about, and then I'm gonna end it off there. Basically, this is where Deku was in a time loop or could make time loops. Now, basically, it's gonna be kind of like a Groundhog Day type of thing. I was originally gonna name this "What if Deku was Groundhog Day," but I didn't want to do that because some people think it was confusing. Haven't seen Groundhog Day or any type of time loop type of movies or time travel type of movies? Go watch those. Maybe you'll understand this a little bit more. Basically, it's gonna be straightforward. Basically, Deku's gonna be in a time loop, and each time loop's gonna restart with Deku's death or with Deku being exposed to something. Now, basically, for this what if the work, I'm actually gonna give Deku this power or this curse, I guess. Basically, later on in the what if, later on in the anime, I think I would give Deku this power, maybe at around, let's say, you know what, guys? I'm actually gonna make this video was series of 6-part video. So basically, I'm gonna cram a bunch of stuff in the first part. So yeah, let's get into it. Basically, Deku's gonna have this power and one for all at the same time. Now, when Deku gets one for all in canon, he is pretty much everything in canon goes the same. When Deku was pretty much doing the whole entire combat training thing with Bakugo, and Deku starts feeling some weirdness that morning, kind of being kind of sick, but just going along with it. Now, Deku's father would actually be very, very, very kind of, I'd say, very weird. Basically, Deku's father would have an extra quirk, but it wouldn't really be a quirk. It would more or less be a family curse of some sorts. So basically, Deku would be going to the going to the entry exam, the combat training, getting his same hero costume and everything, and getting ready for the combat training. Now, Bakugo and Deku would have the same fight like in canon, but Deku would actually be just a little bit slower, wouldn't really be working at his full capacity. Deku, Deku pretty much seeing that Bakugo was throwing a huge explosion towards his way, and the explosion was so powerful that it actually blew up in Deku's face. Now, some of the nitroglycerin got into Deku's pores, or like his openings in his face, like his ears and his mouth and his eyes, blowing up Deku's whole head. Now, Deku was, well, technically just died and was killed. I'm sorry, Deku just, I'm sorry, I mean, Deku went to sleep. Now, basically, Deku fell to the ground, and Bakugo looked at him with fear and literal, well, fear in his eyes. All Might immediately busts into the room, and grabbed Bakugo, pretty much beating him, saying, "What have you done?" Pretty much, Azawa tried to break up the fight, but All Might was straight up just pounding Bakugo in the stomach, punching him, straight up just beating the literal life out of Bakugo. Now, everybody was super shocked that Bakugo just killed a kid on live, on the cameras. Now, they were like super distraught, and some of them were kind of mournful because some of them actually did become friends with Deku or came to like Deku just a little bit. Now, basically, what have happened is he switches Deku's perspective, and Deku opens his eyes, and he's back into his room, and ominous music plays in the background for the audience. Now, Deku starts looking around, being very confused at what's just happening, because the last thing he remembers is Bakugo throwing an explosion in Deku's face, and all he sees is red, and that's it. So Deku was confused, and Deku's father felt the change, and he felt that Deku has activated the time loop. In this universe, Deku's family actually has an ancient curse in their bloodline from his father. Now, each pretty much year, or pretty much each time, or a specific year, or each time somebody in their family dies, their time loop curse begins. Even when they pass away, they get time looped right to the moment where their time loop activated. So it could be years, or maybe from birth, so they had to relive years of their life. And basically, to get like kind of like a do over. But some of the times people don't want to even do do overs, and maybe even the do over they might just mess up their marriage or never have the child that they had originally, and blah blah blah, all that other stuff. Basically, Deku would be super confused. Now each time a time loop changes, so when each time Deku gets through a day or gets through an hour, the time loop changes pretty much randomly. Like you can be a certain point in the day, the morning of the day, the morning, the afternoon, midnight, whatever. It can be years away or like months away. Basically, months in the past and months in the future. No, not in the future, just in the past. So basically, Deku wakes up that morning and his dad pretty much barges in his room, telling him that I need to tell you something. Deku saying, I felt something, I had some weird dream. And pretty much Deku's father said it isn't a dream. Deku's father takes Deku out of the house, drives him to a warehouse, and this warehouse has a bunch of relics in it. The relics has been captured by pretty much pretty much multiple lives that their family has lived and relived. They all have grabbed a certain artifact and all have kept it very, clean and pretty much cared for. Just looking around, and he opens up a scroll, pretty much saying that an ancient curse was controlled upon their family. Now, their family went to the curse thinking that it would be some sort of, you know, power or some sort, but some people, it would become a curse. Now, Deku would have understand and been explained about how he's constantly in a time loop, but each time loop or starting point of the time loop is completely random. Now, basically, Deku is completely confused, and his dad says only way for the time loop to begin or start or end is if Deku dies, or if Deku pretty much is exposed to something, pretty much is exposed to some sort of object that he was originally supposed to come in contact with. Basically, Deku is confused, but also just goes along with it. Now, Deku says, so why am I, in this time loop? Now, Deku, getting told by his father that it's a curse, and none of our family can get away from it. Basically, Deku's father says, I never told your mother about this, but I just wanted to make sure that you had it before I even told you about any of it. Now, basically, Deku said that now I have all the knowledge I need. Deku says, I had a quirk this whole time, and Deku's father says it's not a quirk. It can be slightly used as a quirk, but never be responded or, detected. Basically, Deku said, I can use this to become a hero. Deku's father says, in some cases, the time loop is permanent, meaning that if you die again, Deku, you can just relive the same day over and over again. And each time your time loop begins, I'll feel a shift in the air or some sort of chill down my spine. That's how the family line works. Basically, Deku says, well, I'll just keep safe then, I won't die. Basically, Deku grabs his father and hugs him and says, I gotta go to school. And Deku arrives at school the same way, pretty much looking around, seeing everything that was happening. That same day, Chaku was about to trip after, was about to trip and drop all her food that day. But Deku saw that the yesterday or the same day or the time loop before and helped Ochaku and directed her out of the way of, the thing she slipped on. And basically Deku, helped somebody out today. Deku had the exact memories and knew what was gonna happen in that day. Now Deku got ready and got his hero costume and would have gotten started. Now since Deku would know everything, Deku would actually know each fighting move Bakugo would throw. Now Deku went in there and started, fighting Bakugo. Bakugo started throwing explosions and Bakugo was confused because to him it felt like Deku already knew what Deku was about to do. Now Deku started dodging every single explosion Bakugo dished out, including other pretty much punches and kicks. Deku said, I know everything Bakugo's about to do. But Bakugo, since it's a different, change, Bakugo actually uses a different tactic and a different move, knocking out Deku. But but knocks him out so hard with another explosion that does kill Deku again. Now Deku wakes up that same morning, skips through all of it, tells his father he already knows, blah blah. Basically, Deku goes to school, getting ready, being super anxious, not even helping Ochaku, basically getting ready for the fight against Bakugo. Now, Deku was super angry, saying that I'm going to take him out. Each time Deku pretty much started to, he started. So basically, Deku ran up against Bakugo, fought him the same way, but when Bakugo threw that other extra, punch or explosion, Deku dodged it and pretty much punched Bakugo straight in the region and started punching Bakugo in the face over and over and over and over again until Bakugo eventually passed out or got knocked out cold. Deku's white clothes were completely dirty, and Deku started running up the stairs again and again, getting to where Ida was. At this point, Deku fought Bakugo for a long time. Basically, Osaka would have been, kind of going up the same type of, tactic against Ida, and Deku would have ran over to Ida using some one for all to jump the pillar to pillar, and pretty much jump straight towards the pretty much bomb, grabbing it out of Ida's hand. Now in this canon, it would actually change a little bit because All Might would have taught Deku how to do some jumps because All Might did do a lot of super type of jumps in his, pretty much camera. So in this canon, Deku would actually start jumping. Now Deku wouldn't use his kicks or any type of things like that. He would just use it for the jump. So Deku wouldn't know how to use it as, attack. So yeah. So basically Deku would have been pretty much getting ready and would have won. Now they would crown them the MVP because they would win the fight so quickly, and basically Deku would have gotten super happy that he has this newfound ability. Now basically Deku goes back to pretty much school, goes back to home, and we skip the next day doing the USJ. And Deku goes into school, pretty much getting ready, and pretty much everything that in canon happened, the USJ, but except for the USJ, Deku actually did get caught by the Nomu, and Deku was killed by the Nomu. And Deku reset his day, actually the same day, the day of the USJ, about a couple hours after they got off pretty much a couple hours before they arrived at the USJ, Deku waking up on the bus. Deku was super confused and his eyes pretty much bulging out of his sockets. Deku pretty much, rubbing his eyes, saying, mumbling to himself, we gotta do this again. Now, pretty much ominous, like, straight up Death Note type music plays in the background for the audience, and we start with the second attempt of winning. Now, basically, Deku knows that the villains are going to show up, and Deku tells Zawa to stay alert. Zawa's confused, and Deku says, Deku lies to Zawa, saying that I have some sort of future sight quirk, telling Zawa that the villains are going to show up. Now, Zawa pretty much doesn't believe Deku at first because it doesn't say it in his bio, and the doctors said that, Deku just had a normal, type of strength quirk. Basically, Deku takes advantage in his own hands, basically locking up the USJ, saying that the villains are going to be in there. Basically, them talking for a long while of time, and the villains showing up in the empty USJ. Now they hear a blast, and pretty much the villains jump out of the USJ building, trying to attack the students outside of the building. Now basically, All Might arrives outside the building for some reason quickly and actually on time, basically fighting the Nomu and some of the villains. Ozawa takes some of the villains and tells what was it? And pretty much tells the students to get into the bus, and Ozawa drives off in the bus. Now, since Deku knew what was going to go on, the USJ never really happened, and All Might did technically was about to lose, but before the students left and drove off with Ozawa, they actually were stopped by his strength quirked hero, and basically they would have gotten out of the bus pretty quickly and not trying to be in one place at all. Just not trying to be at one place at the same time and all get killed. So they would start to, throw punches and explosions and ice pretty much beams, all sorts of other quirks at villains taking them out. Now basically, Deku would have used a one-for-all flicking tactic and basically try to push the Nomu off of All Might. It would have worked slightly and gave All Might about a second to get over, or a second to get the upper hand, and that was enough for All Might, and All Might took out the Nomu pretty quickly. Now, for the whole entire villains, they actually would have gotten shot, or they would have gotten captured. And some of them would actually escape because they would be outside. Basically, the heroes show up after Urzawa calling them, and pretty much they all start fighting. Now, 13 was there because 13 was still in the building when the villains arrived. 13 started taking down villains as well, and Kurogiri still took down, pretty much Kurogiri took out 13 like in canon, but outside this time near the bridge where, the USJ was at. Now, basically, Deku was running around punching villains, and eventually ran into Shigaraki, and Shigaraki touched Deku's forehead, and that was it. Deku was reset the minutes before Shigaraki touched him. The Deku dodged out of the way, punches Shigaraki right in the face, knocking him out. Now, Kurogiri was seeing this, seeing the heroes showing up, and would have teleported Shigaraki out there, including with a couple other villains. Now, they would have gotten out there pretty quickly, and Deku would have fell down to the ground, being super, scared and also very conflicted on what he felt. Because when he died or got, marked or, straight up folded, like annihilated by Shigaraki, Deku felt complete darkness. At that point, Deku felt the fastest moment of death and actually went into the spirit world for about a couple seconds. It was only for 2 seconds, and Deku snapped back into this time loop. So Deku's confused. What if he, was annihilated quickly or like more times than he was originally? What if Deku was able to really permanently die without the time loop and, not restart a new time loop? And basically, Deku was kind of conflicted, but his father always said that our family can't truly die unless we pretty much do everything the time loop wants us to do. Now, Deku says maybe I can technically live forever. Now, basically, Deku gets ready, and everybody gets sent to the hospital. The couple days of UA they're given a couple days off of UA, and they get back to school, and we arrive to pretty much the sports festival. The sports festival begins, and everything like in canon happens, because Deku hasn't died yet, and he doesn't want to start the time loop. So everything in canon happens all the way up until Todoroki, and all the way up until Todoroki and Deku's fight. Now Deku would have been fighting against Todoroki, throwing pretty much him throwing punches and air attacks. Basically him still losing, but in this version, the pretty much attack Todoroki through at Deku would have actually killed him, and Deku would relive a couple hours before Deku went up against Todoroki. Now, Deku would be time looped right at the moment before he was about to talk to pretty much the mind control quirk guy, and Deku would have stopped himself from talking and would have ran over to the mind control quirk guy and should have just knocked him out. Now for the whole entire pretty much for the whole entire pretty much Todoroki match, Deku would have went up against Todoroki and actually wouldn't be saying anything to Todoroki, not trying to help him, unlock his full power, because Deku would know that would lead to him losing. So Deku would have ran over to Todoroki and started to fight him, not saying anything to Todoroki, letting Todoroki only lose half of his power. Todoroki, halfway through, not trying to lose, shoot a fireball for just a second towards Deku. Deku dodged it, but getting burned in the left arm. Deku throwing a huge one for all, pretty much left hook right, or was it a one for all powered uppercut right into Todoroki's face. Todoroki sent flying out of the ring, losing. Now Deku would have smiled, saying that this is pretty cool, and would have muttered that to himself, not really saying it. So Deku would have been crowned, pretty much not yet, but he would have gone up against, well, Kirsch would have gone up against Bakugo. Now Deku would have gone into the ring with Bakugo, and he would start smiling, saying, let's do this. Now he would have started fighting Bakugo left and right, and about 2 times Bakugo kept on taking him out and annihilating him. Third time, Deku had a good enough plan and memorized all of it, and each time Deku went up against Bakugo, he actually got reset right after he, went against Todoroki. Now basically, Deku, for the third time, Deku would have won against Bakugo, dodging all of his tactics, throwing all of explosions away from him. Pretty much Todoroki, Todoroki watching all of this, seeing Deku, seeming that, them thought, pretty much Todoroki and All Might were kind of confused because they saw that Deku moved with such a smirk on his face, knowing that what Bakugo was about to do. Bakugo being also confused, thinking and also being confused that Deku knew every move Bakugo was going to make before he even made it. Now, even the more pretty much unpredictable moves Bakugo was trying to throw. Now, basically, Deku still won and became, no, damn, he won and became first place. Now, Deku would have won, Bakugo would have become second place, and Todoroki would have became third place. Now, for, pretty much we're going to skip to the, let's say this is it, what was it? The, pretty much, let's say, the, which arc should I skip Deku to? Let's skip all the way to the internships. Now for internships, Deku was still the same internship that All Might gave him, and Deku would have been training with pretty much All Might's All Might's perf- All Might's trainer. Now Deku would have actually picked up the trick to actually try to use his legs to move around, and that's what Deku would do. Deku would train to move his legs more than his feet earlier on, so Deku would know how to use his kicking tactics and his double, pretty much feet and like his kicking tactics the same way, like in canon in season 3 or season 4, I think that Deku got that skill. That Deku would have known how to use his legs as weapons and kick with them before and after before the whole entire thing with the this training summer camp. Now basically Deku would have gotten ready and got started. He would have fought against Stain like in canon, but in this universe, Stain actually would have succeeded about taking all three of them down and would have killed Deku, and that would have started the time loop. And Deku would actually time loop right at the beginning of that day of the internships. Deku would have gone through his internship and pretty much his trainer being kind of confused that Deku was pretty, seeing that Deku was pretty skilled in this tactic and this, training. Pretty much seeming that Deku already knew this training. Now, Deku hasn't told anybody about his time loop other than his father knowing. So basically, Deku would have gotten ready and would have gotten pumped for the whole entire staying thing. And Deku would have told Todoroki to be on his toes and would have actually tried to call Ida and tell Ida not to do whatever he was about to do. Now, Ida was confused, but Ida didn't really care that Deku knew what he was about to do. Now, Deku tracked down Ida, knowing where Ida was going, and pretty much came to Ida's rescue after Ida was about to get pretty much paralyzed. So Deku would have stepped in, kicking Stain out the way, pretty much getting out of Stain's way and his blade. Now telling Ida the same thing, not trying to let him get even a lick of, his blood. Basically, them fighting, Stain. So they started fighting Stain over and over again, throwing punches, kicks, and pretty much just jumping Stain all together. I mean, like, they were jumping this man. They were like, fight back, fight back. Like, it was like straight up that meme. Like, they were just straight up folding Stain. Until Stain got the upper hand and still paralyzed Ida. It was about to paralyze Deku, but Deku stuck, get out the way, pretty much seeing that Todoroki showed up, and Todoroki was actually called by Deku before Deku arrived to help up Ida. Now they would have fought in Stain, both of them, and Ida would have stepped back up, pretty much doing the same type of kicking move and that same character development, taking down Stain himself, and basically them taking out, Stain. So for the whole entire, what was it? For the, let's skip all the way to the, well, and I am actually going to end it off here, guys. So part 2 will mainly be a part about the exams for the whole entire, um, summer camp training. See you guys later. Bye. As always, guys, have a blessed day. I'm sorry, guys, this video came out before the Irma What If, but I'm still working on that because I had to make that. I had to think more and more about how that would go, and I had to script it. So yeah. So guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and as always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.